Shalom. Call hello, Yahawah Bahashem, Yahushai, Baha Wakakwadash. Shalom to the Yakim out there that's pushing the truth, that's laboring in the word, and that's pushing the gospel of the great kingdom that's soon to come. Shalom to the Yahawah that's listening in, that's remaining true to the faith, and remaining faithful and submissive to their husbands and guiding their children. Shalom to the hopeful elect of the 12 tribes that are scattered abroad throughout the four corners of the earth. Peace and blessings to you all. Barakatha. So if you've been paying attention to the news lately, you would know that that America has seized two tankers from the Islamic Republic of Iran. Okay, and these tankers were holding not billions, but like millions of barrels of oil, and they were transporting it to Venezuela, right? Now, mind you, this is a perfectly legal act. You know, they are well within their rights. Iran, they are well within their rights to sell to any, as a sovereign nation, to sell to any other nation that that it deems, that it wishes. You know what I'm saying? If this is a sovereign nation, it has the right to sell its own oil to another sovereign nation. You know what I'm saying? There's no rule against that. Now, and being as there are no rules against that, internationally, of course, the United States have decided to call up the United Nations to say we need to enact a punishment that is listed in the JCPOA. The JCPOA is basically the nuclear arms deal that was signed in the Obama administration with Iran and multiple signatory countries around the world, including China, Russia, Canada, and all these other nations, right? And so, in 2018, the Trump administration leaves the deal. They leave the nuclear deal, right? And ever since then, they have been claiming that Iran has been breaking that deal. Now, mind you, this is a nation that is notorious for breaking its own treaties. Okay? As a matter of fact, let me grab that real quick. Let me go to the book of Psalms. This is the book of Psalms, chapter 55, verse 20. It says, "He hath put forth his hands against such as be at peace with him. He hath broken his covenant." And that's what these devils do. These so-called white people, what have they done? They have done nothing but break their own treaties. Their own treaties. A treaty is a covenant. Okay? Continuing on, verse 21, it says, "The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords." All right, so right now, America is trying to sanction Iran, even though it has no legal grounds to do so. So they're going to try and implement this act from the JCPOA, which is called the Snapback Act, or it's a sort of disciplinary action where massive sanctions would be imposed on Iran. Now, when sanctions are imposed on a country, what it essentially does is it limits their economic power, right? So it limits their ability to sell goods. It limits their ability to gather goods, buy buying anything internationally, so on and so forth, right? It essentially cripples a nation, and it hurts the nation's citizens the most. Okay? So simple things like medical supplies, you know what I'm saying, for hospitals, you know. So what does that hurt? Does that really hurt the government? No, that's hurting the country's people as a whole. You know what I'm saying? Primarily its citizens, and that's the point. All right, so let's get into this video.
At this point, we've got the United States essentially demanding that the United Nations reimpose its crippling sanctions, economic warfare, against the Islamic Republic of Iran. This is Mike Pompeo laying out the demand.
Just a few minutes ago, I delivered letters to both the UN Secretary General Guterres and to the President of the Security Council. I notified them that the United States is initiating the restoration of virtually all UN sanctions on Iran lifted under UN Security Council Resolution 2231. The United States will never allow the world's largest state sponsor of terrorism to freely buy and sell planes, tanks, missiles, and other kinds of conventional weapons.
Now, essentially, the United States is hoping to invoke the snapback mechanism that was part of the JCPOA.
Okay, so if you listen to Mike Pompeo, what did he say? He said jets, missiles, weapons, you know what I'm saying, all types of weaponry. But this isn't weapons that they were giving to Venezuela. At this current point, America is sanctioning Venezuelans. All right, so Venezuela is being crippled. All right, so inevitably, the Venezuelan government would ask for some kind of aid. If America is not giving it aid, then they would go overseas in any way to get some kind of assistance. And Iran answered that call, and they sent 2 of their tankers to give them oil so they could get their trucks and their, you know, all types of stuff moving again. All right. So this is twofold.
Conclusion of the Iran nuclear negotiations, the Iran nuclear deal. Now, the snapback mechanism was put into the nuclear deal so that if Iran did not fulfill the agreement and did not fulfill its obligations, broke the agreement, that there would be an immediate snapback and all the UN sanctions would immediately be reimposed on Iran. So now the United States is trying to invoke the snapback mechanism. However, it has virtually no support in the international community when it comes to this demand. We've got all the other co-signers of the deal, the United Kingdom, Germany, France, China, Russia, all saying that basically the United States doesn't have the right to invoke the snapback mechanism because the United States pulled out of the deal, not Iran. This has been the international reaction to the United States call.
Okay, so before I get that, because we're going to listen to what they say internationally. So this is Daniel chapter 8. Daniel chapter 8 verse 23. It says, and in the latter time of their kingdom, when the transgressors are come to the full, right? So at this very moment, we're at the end of Esau's kingdom. These so-called white people, we are at the end of their kingdom. It's falling, right? When it says when the transgressors are come to the full meaning the fullness of their rulership. All right, so Esau, Edom is losing their grip on all of their ruling power. Okay, the dollar is collapsing. It is collapsing right now as we speak. Okay, the dollar is collapsing. The economy is collapsing. Everything about this kingdom of theirs is collapsing. Okay, so let's continue. It says, when the transgressors are come to the full, a king of fierce countenance and understanding dark sentences shall stand up, and his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power. And he shall destroy wonderfully, and shall prosper and practice, and shall destroy the mighty and the holy people. And through his policy also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand. Right? Okay, so I'm going to cut it there. So that's the point. That's the point. Okay. Throughout these long years during America's rulership, it has done nothing but oppress and subjugate all the other nations. Okay? And that rulership is coming to an end real soon. All right, so let's take this back a little bit.
The United States doesn't have the right to invoke the snapback mechanism because the United States pulled out of the deal, not Iran. This has been the international reaction to the United States call.
We are deeply concerned that reckless acts by the United States could trigger a serious crisis in the Security Council. Our American colleagues do not seem to care about this. We call on all countries to resist, and I stress once again that the US plans are unlawful.
The United States has withdrawn from the comprehensive agreement on the Iranian nuclear issue and is not qualified to call for a rapid resumption of sanctions by the Security Council.
As I have repeatedly recalled, the US unilaterally ceased participation in the JCPOA by presidential memorandum on the 8th of May 2018 and has subsequently not participated in any JCPOA-related activities. It cannot therefore be considered to be a JCPOA participant state for the purposes of possible sanctions snapback foreseen by the resolution.
The United States pulled out of the Iran nuclear deal in May of 2018. And at this point, we've got the Trump administration saying that they are open to renegotiating a new deal that would restrict Iran's activities more harshly. Now, at this point, people are reacting to the recent effort by the United States to extend the arms embargo against the Islamic Republic of Iran, which was roundly defeated by the international community. At the UN Security Council, the 15-member body that leads the UN, the only other country to support the U.S. move was the Dominican Republic. And it seems, with the world basically opposing Washington's moves against Iran, that Iran actually has the upper hand. This is what we've heard from some Iranian officials.
Today, it's clear that the United States is isolated, and American unilateralism is not supported by other countries. With the recent resolution that was put before the Security Council, the United States was defeated. The Islamic Republic of Iran has the upper hand.
In the international community, it seems like almost a consensus that the Iran nuclear deal should remain intact. However, Washington has pulled out of the deal, and they seem to be almost standing alone at this point in their call to reimpose sanctions and to essentially escalate tensions with the Islamic Republic.
Okay, so let's get into these scriptures. This is Isaiah chapter 14, verse 6. So I'm only going to get a few precepts. I'm only going to get a few precepts, and that's going to be it. All right, so this is Isaiah chapter 14, verse 6. It says, he who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke. He who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke. He that ruled the nations in anger is persecuted, and none hindereth. You see what I'm saying? All of America's allies are about to turn on him. All of America's allies is about to turn on her. Okay? Because the world is seeing who the real problem is. The world is seeing that this place is nothing more than a bully, and it needs to be taken out of rulership. Okay? Verse 9. Verse 9, it says, hell from beneath is moved for thee, to meet thee at thy coming. It stirreth up the dead for thee, even all the chief ones of the earth. It has raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations. All these other nations are against America right now, man. This is prophecy that's happening right now. Verse 10 says, all they shall speak and say unto thee, art thou also become weak as we? Art thou become like unto us? Because you have to understand what's going to happen real soon. America is going to drop from a first world country to a third world country overnight when this hyperinflation happens. All right, when there's no more food around here, when people start losing everything, they lose their homes. You know what I mean? They lose their jobs. Everything falls into chaos. All right, because when you look at a third world country, they have a higher survival rate. You understand why? It's because they're constantly in that situation of poverty. But here in America the Great, it's a much different story. A much different story. Why? Because everyone's used to going out to what? Olive Gardens. They're used to going to fancy restaurants. You know what I'm saying? They're used to their Wendy's. They're used to filling their bellies, man. They're used to that. Okay? They're used to that. They're used to driving their cars. They're used to being sufficient in even the lowest. You know what I'm saying? Even the lowest of the stratus. You know what I'm saying? Like the low class. From the low class to the middle class. They do what? They enjoy their bodegas, you know what I'm saying? They enjoy their eating contests, you know what I'm saying? All this folly. Okay, so when you're looking at a third world country, they already know how to survive because they're constantly in that survival mode. This is going to be devastating to America. It's going to be even worse than a third world country because of the fact that they're falling so far. You see what I'm saying? Because of the fact that they're falling from the clouds and hitting the floor. They won't know how to act, pretty much. They won't know how to act. Alright? So that's what it means. It says, verse 10 again, Isaiah 14:10, all they shall speak and say unto thee, art thou also become weak as we? Art thou become like unto us? You see what I'm saying? China's going to be like, well, what happened, America? Russia going to be like, well, what's going on? What's going on, America? What's going on? The Brits are going to be like, what's up, Yankees? You know what I'm saying? What happened? It's going to be devastating, man. Verse 11, it says, thy pomp is brought down to the grave, and the noise of thy vials. The worm is spread unto thee, and the worms cover thee. And the worms cover thee. You see, the pomp is the pride, the pridefulness of these devils. All right? It's brought down. It's all going to be brought down. Ain't going to be no America, rah, rah, none of that. All right? So let me grab Obadiah. I'm going to end off with this. This is Obadiah chapter 1, verse 7. It says, all the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There is none understanding in him. Alright? There's none understanding in these devils, man, because all these other nations are going to turn on America with the quickness. With the quickness. It's already begun. It's already beginning. Okay? When you look at the way at the way all those nations collectively came and pushed back against America, you see? They all came. As a matter of fact, let me get that again. Let me see that. Look at that. Look at that.
We are deeply concerned that
Salaki for the noise.
The deal, not Iran. This has been the international reaction to the United States call.
we are deeply concerned that reckless acts by the United States could trigger a serious crisis in the Security Council. Our American colleagues do not seem to care about this. We call on all countries to resist, and I stress once again that the US plans are unlawful.
The United States has withdrawn from the comprehensive agreement on the Iranian nuclear issue and is not qualified to call for a rapid resumption of sanctions by the Security Council.
As I have repeatedly recalled, the US unilaterally ceased participation in the JCPOA by presidential memorandum on the 8th of May 2018 and has subsequently not participated in any JCPOA-related activities. It cannot therefore be considered to be a JCPOA participant state for the purposes of possible sanction snapback foreseen by the resolution.
The United States...
All right. So you have Russia, you had China, and you had Britain. All right. all of these nations basically cuss America out, said, "What the hell are you doing? What the hell are you doing?" You see what I'm saying? So this is Obadiah chapter 1 verse 7 again. It says, "All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There is none understanding in him." Alright, so it's about to get real out here, man. About to get real out here. All these nations are looking at America. They seeing that the real problem is America. Okay? And they're going to dethrone this woman from her seat. Okay? Alright, so I'm going to say, call halal, Yahawah Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rakakodash. Shalom to the Yakim out there that's pushing the truth, that's laboring in the word, and that's pushing the gospel of the great kingdom that's soon to come. Shalom to the Yahawah that's listening in, that's remaining true to the faith, and remaining faithful and submissive to their husbands and guiding their children. Shalom to the 12 tribes that are scattered abroad throughout the four corners of the earth. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect. Barakatah. Shalom.